In the preceding module, we have discussed the definition of U-statistic. In this module, we discuss some small sample properties of U-statistic. We start with an alternative but unconventional expression of U-statistic. And then we shall show that U-statistic is an improvement over an unbiased estimator in terms of variance reduction. Later, we shall see that a U-statistic is nothing but minimum variance unbiased estimator of its expectation. Lastly, we shall find the exact variance of U-statistic, and this variance derivation is not straightforward as the different components of U are not all independent. We shall derive the variance and express the variance as a linear convex combination of some positive quantities. We have already defined kernels, estimability, and U-statistic. Now, we start with an interesting example on unbiasedness. Suppose x1, x2, xn are IID observations from some continuous population f x minus theta, where theta is naturally the location parameter. We further assume that n is odd and the distribution is symmetric, that is, fx plus f of minus x equal to 1 for every x. We also assume that the distribution has finite expectation. Suppose our problem is to estimate theta f equal to theta. Now, due to symmetry, theta is the mean and the median. So we can use x1 as our kernel and we get, in that case, U-statistic as x bar. For the purpose of example, we consider the sample median. Since theta is the median of f, we consider sample median as our kernel. That is, we take x ordered m plus 1, the sample median, as our kernel. Naturally, phi is symmetric, that is, invariant to permutations of the dataset. Now, it is well known from the theory of order statistics that x ordered m plus 1, the m plus 1th largest observation of the data, has a symmetric distribution about theta. Thus, the U-statistic with kernel xm plus 1 reduces to only x ordered m plus 1. So, what is the degree of this kernel? Is it m plus 1 or something else? Actually, x ordered m plus 1 can be calculated only when we know the entire data. Thus, x ordered m plus 1 is a function of x1, x2, xn. Thus, the degree of the kernel is n. Thus, degree of kernel can be small n, but in such a case, U-statistic cannot be improved further. That is, if we start with some kernel phi, then we get the same as the U-statistic. Now, we shall give some relevant properties of a U-statistic. Suppose x1, x2, xn are IID observations from an absolutely continuous distribution f, and script f is the class of all absolutely continuous distribution functions, denote by y the full set of order statistics corresponding to x. That is, we denote the order statistics by x ordered 1, x ordered 2, x ordered n. Also, suppose Pn is the set of n factorial permutations of the first n natural numbers. Recall that the joint PDF of y, that is the full set of order statistics, is nothing but n factorial times the joint PDF of x, the full set of observations evaluated at y vector. Now, given y, the full set of order statistics, x can take n factorial possible arrangements, each of which are equally likely. Thus, given the full set of order statistics, the distribution is uniform over the n factorial permutations of the first n natural integers. Thus, the joint PDF of x1, x2, xn given the full set of order statistics is 1 by n factorial for every x belonging to Pn. Therefore, y is sufficient for script f, that is, the full set of order statistics is sufficient for the family. Interestingly, the conditional distribution is discrete, though the original distribution is continuous. Thus, we find that the conditional distribution of x given y is independent of y. Hence, by definition, y, that is the full set of observations, that is the full set of order statistics, is sufficient for the family, as f is the only member of the family. Thus, the full set of order statistics is sufficient for the non-parametric family of distributions. Now, we shall see whether a U statistic is a function of the sufficient statistic. Suppose theta f is a functional and defined on some script f, and phi x1, x2, xk for k less than equal to n is a kernel for theta f. That is, phi x1, x2, xk is unbiased for theta f. Consider the expected value of phi given y vector, the full set of order statistics. Now, given y vector, there are n choose k equally likely choices of phi x1, x2, xk. That is, given y vector, phi can take the values phi xi1, xi2, xik for 1 less than equal to i1, less than i2, less than ik, less than equal to small n, each with equal probability 1 by n choose k. Thus, the conditional expectation is the sum of all possible such values divided by n choose k, which is nothing but the conventional U statistic with kernel of degree k. Thus, U statistic is always a function of the sufficient statistic. Then, expected value of phi x1, x2, xk given y vector is nothing but 1 by n choose k multiplied by the all possible values of phi x1, x2, xk. Thus, the expression is nothing but the conventional U statistic with kernel phi of degree k. However, an example will make things clear. Suppose x1, x2, xn are IID from a family of distributions with finite expectation. Suppose we are interested in estimating theta equal to expected value of x1. Then, a natural kernel is phi of x1 equal to x1. Now, consider the expected value of x1 given x ordered 1, x ordered 2, x ordered n. That is, we consider the conditional expectation of x1 given the full set of order statistics. Now, given the full set of order statistics x ordered 1, x ordered 2, x ordered n, x1, the unordered value, takes each of the values x ordered 1, x ordered 2 up to x ordered n with probability 1 by n. Thus, the conditional expectation of x1 given the full set of order statistics is nothing but x bar, and this is the conventional U statistic. Now, we shall show that U statistic is an improved version of an unbiased estimator. Let Tn, which is a function of the sample observations x1, x2, xn, be an unbiased estimator of theta. That is, Tn is any unbiased estimator of theta. Now, corresponding U statistic is nothing but 1 by n factorial multiplied by the all possible values of Tn x1, x2, xn. Now, we shall evaluate expected value of Tn given the full set of order statistics. Naturally, expected value of un and expected value of Tn are both theta. That is, un and Tn are both unbiased for theta. Now, expected value of un square can be looked upon as the double expectation of Tn given y vector squares. Now, by Jensen's inequality, expected value of un square less than equal to double expectation of Tn square given the full set of order statistics. Now, using the results of iterated expectations, we find that the double expectation of Tn square given the y vector is nothing but expected value of Tn square. Thus, variance of un less than equal to variance of Tn, since un and Tn are both unbiased. And hence, un is an improvement over Tn in terms of variance reduction. That is, if we use un instead of Tn, we can have a smaller variance than in case of Tn. Now, the question is natural whether a U statistics is a MVUE of its expectation. The answer is in affirmative, but the proof is not easy. Suppose script f is the class of all absolutely continuous distribution functions. Then we have already shown that the full set of order statistics is sufficient. Again, it can be shown that the full set of order statistics is complete for the family of distributions. Those who are interested are referred to the book by Fraser. Then, summarizing, we get U is unbiased and U is based on a complete sufficient statistic. Then, following the same argument as given by Lehman and Sheffey in the parametric case, we see that U is MVUE of its expectation. Now, we shall derive the exact variance of our U statistic. Consider a symmetric kernel phi with degree k, a family of distributions such that variance of phi is finite. Define phi m as the conditional expectation of phi given x1, x2, xm. Then this phi m is a function of x1, x2, xm, that is the conditioning variables. Now denote the variance of phi m by sigma square m. Then variance of un can be expressed as a weighted sum of sigma 1 square, sigma 2 square, sigma k square. The weights are actually the hypergeometric probabilities. Thus, the weights are non-negative, bounded by unity and add up to unity. Now, we start with a related observation. Actually, sigma square m are ordered. That is, sigma 1 square is the lowest and sigma k square is the highest. Now, it will be enough to show that the sequence sigma square m is a non-decreasing sequence. Consider expected value of phi square m plus 1. Then, phi square m plus 1 can be looked upon as a conditional expectation of phi square m plus 1 for given x m plus 1. Now, applying Jensen's inequality on the conditional expectation, we get that the conditional expectation is greater than the square of the expected value of phi m plus 1 given xm plus 1. Now, expected value of phi m plus 1 given xm plus 1 is nothing but phi m. Thus, we get expected value of phi m plus 1 square greater than equal to expected value of phi m square. Since expected values of phi m plus 1 and phi m are both theta, we get sigma square m plus 1 greater than equal to sigma square m for every m greater than equal to 1. Now, we come to the derivation of variance of U statistic. First of all, note that the terms of a U statistic are not always independent. Hence, some covariance terms will contribute, but others will be uncorrelated. Surely, un is a sum of dependent variables. Thus, variance of un can be expressed as the sum of all possible covariances between phi xi1, xi2 up to xik and phi xj1, xj2 up to xjk divided by n choose k whole square. Now, we consider the following lemma on finding the above covariance. If m is the number of members common between the sets i1, i2, ik and j1, j2, jk, we have the covariance as sigma square m, where sigma naught square is treated as 0. Since the observations are IID, we have covariance between phi xi1, xi2, xik and phi xj1, xj2, xjk equal to 0 or not equal to 0 according as m is 0 or m is positive. So, first assume that m is positive. Let us consider two sets of random variables such that they have m random variables in common. Since observations are IID, we can take the two sets as x1, x2, xm, xm plus 1 up to xk and the another set as x1, x2, xm and then xk plus 1 up to x twice k minus m. So, these two sets have m members, that is x1, x2, xm common. Naturally, given x1, x2, xm, the common members, any function of these sets of random variables are independent. Thus, phi x1, x2, xk and phi x1, x2, xm, xk plus 1 up to x twice k minus m are independent. Consider the conditional expectation of phi x1, x2, xm, xm plus 1 up to xk given x1, x2, xm. Then this is nothing but phi m x1, x2, xm. Similarly, phi of x1, x2, xm, xk plus 1 up to x twice k minus m given x1, x2, xm is also phi m x1, x2, xm. Since only m variables are conditionally fixed, both the conditional expectations are phi m. Similarly, the other type of expectations also follow. Using the results of iterated expectations, we find that the expected value of the product of phi xi1 up to xik and phi xj1 up to xjk as expected value of phi square m x1, x2, xm. Thus, covariance between phi xi1 up to xik and phi xj1 up to xjk is nothing but expected value of phi m square minus theta square, which is nothing but by definition sigma square m, and we get the desired result. Let us go back to the original result of finding the exact variance of a U statistic. In view of the above lemma, the contribution of each covariance is either sigma square m or 0. Thus, the result will be complete if we find the number of non-zero contributions. Now, for a specific m 1 less than equal to m less than equal to k, the coefficient of sigma square m is the number of choices of the sets I1, I2, Ik and J1, J2, Jk having m elements in common. The number of such choices is n choose k into k choose m into n minus k choose k minus m. Now, there are n choose k ways of choosing a particular configuration I1, I2, Ik, and then k choose m ways of choosing m elements from them. Thus, we have chosen m elements of J1, J2, Jk. Then we need to choose the remaining k minus m elements from the remaining n minus k elements. The number of such choices is clearly n minus k choose k minus m. Thus, we get a total of n choose k into k choose m into n minus k choose k minus m choices to have m elements common. Thus, we get n choose k into k choose m into n minus k choose k minus m terms with covariance sigma square m. Hence, variance of un comes out as summation m from 1 to k into n choose k, k choose m, n minus k choose k minus m into sigma square m divided by n choose k whole square. A simplification gives the term summation m from 1 to k, k choose m, n minus k choose k minus m divided by n choose k into sigma square m. Thus, variance of un is the weighted sum of sigma 1 square, sigma 2 square, sigma k square with weights as the hypergeometric probabilities. Using this, we can give another alternative representation of U statistic. Define a new integer valued random variable capital M such that probability capital M equal to small m equal to k choose m into n minus k choose k minus m divided by n choose k, where m running from 1 up to k. Therefore, m has a hypergeometric distribution. That is, the weights are the probability masses of the random variable capital M. Then we have the following representation in terms of the conditional distribution of m. That is, expected value of un given capital M is theta and variance of un given capital M is sigma square capital M. Therefore, the conditional expected value of un is theta f, but the conditional variance of un is sigma square capital M. That is, the conditional variance is a function of capital M. Then it follows from such a representation that expected value of un is nothing but the double expectation of the conditional expectation of un, that is theta, and variance of un is nothing but the expected value of the conditional variance plus variance of the conditional expectation, and this is expected value of sigma square capital M. Now, m is a random variable taking values 1 up to k. Therefore, expected value of sigma square m is nothing but the summation m from 1 to k sigma square m into probability capital M equal to small m. Thus, we get the desired expression, that is summation m from 1 to k sigma square m into pnkm, that is the hypergeometric probabilities. Let us derive two bounds for the variance of a U statistic. Obviously, the lower bound will be different from 0, the trivial bound. Now, we have already proved that sigma 1 square less than equal to sigma 2 square less than equal to sigma k square. That is, sigma 1 square is the least and sigma square k is the highest among the members of sigma 1 square, sigma 2 square, sigma k square. Consider the expression variance of un equal to summation sigma square m into pnkm. Then, each term in the right hand side of above is at least sigma 1 square pnk, as sigma 1 square is the least among sigma 1 square up to sigma k square. Since the weights p and k add up to unity, we get that variance of un is at least sigma 1 square. Again, each term in the right hand side cannot exceed sigma square k p and k, as sigma square k is the greatest among sigma 1 square up to sigma k square. As p and k's add to unity, we get that variance of un can be at most sigma square k. Combining this, we get the desired results. However, more sharper bounds can be obtained. The interested reader is referred to the text of Mathematical Statistics, a book by Jun Shao. Now, let us consider some examples on finding the exact variance of U statistic. First of all, assume that xi are IID observations from F and consider estimation of expected value of x1. Then the kernel is nothing but phi x1 equal to x1 and the degree of the kernel is k equal to 1. Then by definition, sigma square 1 is variance of phi x1, which is nothing but variance of x1. Thus, we get the exact variance of U statistic as variance of x1 divided by n. Now, next consider the estimation of the rth order raw moment of the population, where r is known. Since we have theta equal to expected value of x1 to the power r, it is easy to observe that the kernel is phi x1 equal to x1 to the power r, and this is a kernel of degree 1. Therefore, sigma 1 square is nothing but the variance of phi x1, which is nothing but variance of x1 to the power r. Therefore, variance of x1 to the power r is the mu dash 2r minus mu dash r whole square, where mu dash 2r is the population 2rth order raw moment. Therefore, we get the variance of un as mu dash 2r minus mu dash r whole square divided by n. So, it is easy to observe that here we have to assume that expectation x1 to the power 2r is finite. Now, consider the next problem. Consider estimation of probability x1 less than equal to x0, where x0 is known. Then, since probability x1 less than equal to x0 is nothing but the expected value of the indicator variable of x1 less than equal to x0, we can take the kernel as phi x1 equal to indicator x1 less than equal to x0. Clearly, this phi is a kernel with degree 1. Then, since indicator x1 less than equal to x0 takes the value 0 and 1, the distribution is Bernoulli with success probability theta f. Thus, we get using the conventional results that sigma 1 square is variance of phi x1, that is variance of a Bernoulli random variable with success probability theta f, which is nothing but theta f into 1 minus theta f. Thus, finally we get the variance of un as theta f into 1 minus theta f divided by small n. Now, take kernels of degree 2. Consider estimation of square of mean. Then, the usual kernel is x1 into x2 with degree 2. Now, by definition, phi 1 x1 is the conditional expectation of phi x1 x2 given x1, which is nothing but x1 multiplied by the expected value of x2. However, phi 2 x1 x2 is nothing but the kernel itself. Thus, we get sigma 1 square, that is the variance of phi 1 x1 as mu square sigma square, where expected value of x1 is denoted by mu and the variance is denoted by sigma square. Now, by definition, sigma 2 square is the variance of x1 x2, that is expected value of the square of x1 x2 minus the square of expected value of x1 x2. Due to independence, expected value of x1 square x2 square equals expected value of x1 square multiplied by expected value of x2 square. Since expected value of x1 square is nothing but variance of x1 plus mu square, we get expected value of x1 square into x2 square as mu square plus sigma square whole square. Again, expected value of x1 x2 is mu square, and thus simplifying we get sigma 2 square as sigma to the power 4 plus twice mu square sigma square. Hence, we get the desired expression of variance after using these expressions. However, there are more complicated kernels, but we skip all these for the moment and hope to discuss in future, specifically in the context of hypothesis testing. We have discussed how the degree of a kernel can be the number of observations. We have also provided an ingenious way to provide the exact variance of U statistic. We have seen the importance of symmetry in finding the minimum variance unbiased estimator. However, we scatter around the small sample properties of U statistics in this module, but there are large sample properties as well. In our next module, we shall introduce some large sample properties like consistency and asymptotic normality of U statistics.